afternoon, whenever you're listening to this, welcome to the internet's most sophisticated wrestling podcast, discussing the weekly aspects of it all, right here on
The Bald Monkeys Wrestling Podcast.
All right, welcome back to the Bald Monkeys Wrestling Podcast. Christopher's here with you. I got Captain Chuckles by my side, and our special guest today, the Sauce, Alex Zayne, joins us for a little sit down.
Welcome.
What's going on, Alex?
Pleasure to be here. Just like I was saying before we hit record, just got back from the gym, ready to chat it up. Sit down for a minute.
We appreciate it, man. And we want to point out the awesome party pack behind you. I mean, check out that taco party pack. That's cool.
Forget about it, right?
We'll talk about
Everybody
it the whole rest
loves
of the way
tacos.
through.
Yeah. That's pretty much how all my podcasts go. We just talk about Taco Bell. I got to get paid for this somehow, right?
Oh, man, that's like 17 of our questions, too. I don't know.
I know.
Perfect. That's how it always goes.
No, Taco Bell could sponsor you. Our favorite cookie maybe could sponsor us.
Oh,
we'd all be set. We'll find out later.
You have to keep tuning in to find out.
Yeah.
These are teasers. That's how it works.
We got to watch this whole thing, guys.
Yeah. So Alex, we appreciate you kind of hooking up with us today, and we'll roll through some questions that we usually do with our guests. But I think the first question we always want to start with is, what was young Alex Zayne like?
Man, are we talking like pre-wrestling?
Yeah, we're talking about growing up.
Yeah,
because we want to get to the root of who you really are. Wow, you should wait for me to finish that.
An absolute idiot. Like pre-wrestling is hard to even get to because like pre-wrestling comes when I'm like 10 because I started backyarding when I was like 11. And even pre-wrestling was still wrestling all the time. It just wasn't actively doing it because I was watching it since I was like 3. So, man, just wrestling, idiocy, rinse, repeat. That was pretty much it. The taco obsession already started too way back then. Not a lot was different, really, now that I'm thinking about it. Even being an idiot, here I am, right? So I was pretty much bad at like everything, especially like being good and stuff. I was like a terrible child and like bad at school.
What kind of trouble was little Alex Zayne getting into?
Just like the stupid stuff you get into, egging houses and fights and the whole getting just in trouble in school and all the stupid things, right?
That sounds like my autobiography right there.
Right. We've all been there, right? And just I don't know, like I was doing a lot of dumb things when I was a kid too, like petty shoplifting, stuff like that, right? Which I mean, at the time too, it wasn't in the sense of like, oh man, I really want this. Like, here we go. I'm already getting into stuff. I don't know if I should, but we're on the first question. I was like one of my things when I was like maybe 6th grade, I think this started because that's when I really started taking this certain route to school because now 6th grade you go to a different school than your elementary years. So now I'm in middle school and I'm taking this certain route and I would hit this Dollar General every day, and I would steal something every day and then I would sell it in school every day. So it was just just petty.
Hustling since 6th grade.
Hey man, always. I was like one of my main things that I like to take. Sorry, Dollar General, I owe you. But like one of the main things, what's the statute of limitations of stealing candy from Dollar General?
I think you're good. I mean, it's probably 5 years.
Okay,
I would say 5-7 years, something.
Been at least that.
I think you're good.
Since 6th grade. But yeah, I used to go and I would take those big bags of assorted candies. I eventually got to the point where I was buying them because they were cheap enough to still turn a profit on. But I was on free lunch. I couldn't even buy these with my free lunch. I didn't have lunch money to go buy them, so I had to make the money first and then I paid them. But anyway, so I would take like the big bag of assorted candy, and I would just flip those for like 25 cents a pop. I think there was like 100 pieces in there. There you go. You do the math. Yeah, it was a pretty good day every day. Every day I would sell out the big bag of candy. Some days I'd do 2. It was great. Yeah, it's too bad I can't make that type of money now. Really.
I was going to say,
candy money,
sixth
brother.
grade, really good businessman.
Hey, it was great. I didn't know that I was doing good business. I just knew I was going to go get candy regardless every morning because I was an idiot. So I just got a little extra to, just get by on my own supply.
I mean, growing up as a kid, I delivered papers. I delivered like the newspaper in the morning to like houses and
newspaper.
stuff. Yeah,
I
know.
wish I was on that hustle.
What's a newspaper? 1 and 2. Wait, kids actually delivered the newspaper
right?
at like a normal time. But like that.
Why didn't you just text them the news, right?
Yeah, that was good money as a kid. I mean,
Absolutely.
as long as you got these people the paper at the right time, you got good tips.
Definitely.
Now, forget about it. Can't do that.
No, it's not. You got people, I don't know, door dashing the newspaper or something nowadays for the 5 people in your city that even subscribe to it. So
my dad is one of them.
All right. Yeah. My dad would be, but he was like, no.
So you said, I mean, wrestling was in your blood at a young age, right? You said you were watching it all the way down to what? You said 3.
Yeah. That was my first like introduction to it was when I was 3. And it's odd because I kind of remember it. It's not like the specific moment or whatever. Like I remember the story of the specific moment. My grandfather's to blame for this. But like then I remember it like all the way through like adolescence of being like, oh, wrestling's a thing. Like my grandfather at the time, I got like kind of left with him one day. Like my mom and grandmother, they went out and did whatever. So it's just like me at 3 left with my grandfather. What does every 3-year-old do? Bust into tears, brother. You got the waterworks start. Like, where's my mom? She's never coming home. What has happened to my life? And my grandfather's like, hey, look at the snake on the TV, Jake the Snake Roberts. Yes. Right? And I look at the snake, sold. Here I am. He's putting a snake on people. I'm 3 years old. Oh my God. Right. And I already had like, I think my mom scored like I'm making a party foul here in the wrestling community. The what are they, the slam buddies or whatever they are, the little plushy guys. I had one of I had the Ultimate Warrior one, I think. And it had like ink pen drawings on it and stuff from some other kid because she definitely got it from like a yard sale or something. And I had that. And I was already beating it up. I had no idea what I was doing or who he was, but he was getting the business already. Ultimate Warrior was taking one for the team. And then, so then I saw him on TV and I was like, oh, that's the guy I'm beating up. Man, hit him again. Yeah, so it was great. And then I had like a Hulk Hogan t-shirt by the time I was like 4, and that was sweet. I wish I could find that thing. It's like
did you rip it in half like he always used to do? Because I know I did that with mine at one point.
I think I tried, but I was like a tiny child. It was not working. It was not working. That was before the Body by Taco Bell. There was no getting through that shirt.
So you mentioned Jake the Snake as kind of that first memory and hooking you into wrestling. So as you keep watching wrestling, who inspired you as you watched, and who started to get you hooked to the idea of, man, I could really want to do this someday?
Oh man. That's the weird thing. It's just kind of like, and even my parents kind of can attest to this. It's like, I never really had the thought of like, oh, I could do this one. It was always just like, oh, that's what he's kind of going to do. He's already doing it. Right. And then by the time I was 11, I was yarding and stuff. So it was already kind of like I was doing it so much. But I think people who inspired and like kept that fire burning or whatever, definitely by the time, like I think one of the earliest inspirations would probably be Rey Mysterio, because I was really small. I was always very small. I'm not that small now. I still feel small internally. I'm a little bitty guy. But then I hit 6 feet and people were like, oh, you're tall. And I'm like, yeah, I still feel like I'm just looking up at everybody all the time. But yeah, like Rey Mysterio was definitely an early inspiration. All the cruiserweight guys, of course. And like, I was a WCW guy at this time. Like early on, I was WCW. And I've talked about this before, but I was one of the people who switched channels when Mankind won the title on Raw, right? And they plugged it on Nitro, and they were like, "Oh, who would watch that?" And I was like, "Me,
This guy.
forget about it, right? Right?" Because I was watching both, but
Yeah.
I was like mainlining the WCW product, and I was recording Raw, and I would go back and watch it.
Yep.
Which made sense to me because like it was taped, and then this was live, right? So I wanted to see the live product, and I'll tape the taped product or whatever. And then I switched teams there. And kind of like unintentionally, like it wasn't a conscious thought. I was like, "Oh, I want to see Mankind win the title," right? And I switch over, and I'm watching that and watching the whole celebration of it. And then, of course, you had to tune in next week to see where they went with that. I definitely veered away from the question here, but yeah, ADD, it'll get you every time.
No, you're good. Yeah, Rey Mysterio, and
Rey Mysterio.
And obviously Mankind.
Mankind, definitely. Like, and then. And I think, like I said, the cruiserweights, and then you had, when I branched out into like ECW, you had RVD and all those Sabu and all the crazy, just recklessness. I loved all that. And around the same time, I started picking up the FMW tapes from Best Buy, and Hayabusa became like a super big inspiration for a lot of the flips and just pure recklessness, RIP to the GOAT. And Jeff Hardy, of course. Rey Mysterio, Jeff Hardy, Mankind, Hayabusa, RVD. That's kind of my little melting pot.
That's a good
What about them? Obviously, they were all kind of high flyers and athletic, right? But where did you connect with that? Is that something you enjoyed doing? Like, did you have a trampoline as a kid? Were you running around jumping off of banisters and stuff?
I didn't get a trampoline until I was like 16 years old. Because I was poor, but a guy I knew had a trampoline who I didn't like, but he had a trampoline, and me and a friend of mine, we would go over and be like, "Hey, can we use your trampoline to do this like backyard wrestling crap?" And sometimes they would let us. Sometimes we would just do it, and then they would come out of their house like, "What are you doing? Like you don't even like me." But yeah, and then so I eventually got a trampoline, but before that, like I was doing just grass bumps and jumping off of like a folding chair, and because I was still light, the folding chair didn't bend yet. And yeah, I just really liked, especially just kind of like being an untrained little idiot at the time, the recklessness of all those men's styles really appealed to me, and then eventually the backyard wrestling tapes came out, like the DVDs or whatever, and where Josh Prohibition and M-Dog 20 and all them came on to the scene, and everyone was on those DVDs. Yeah, Sanjay Dutt was on that DVD, all sorts of stuff. And I saw those, and I remember like looking at it and being like, they didn't get hurt like doing this stuff, and then I just went harder, and it was crazy. And then we had me and my best friend at the time, still one of my best friends today, we went and had a match at like the school, like right after school. Like we kind of, I think if I remember correctly, we skipped out a little early, got all our products, like our boards, and we had like a barbed wire crutch, like a crutch wrapping barbed wire, and we brought it back to the school and like a whole match outside of the school. And just like everyone was there because they were like leaving school, and they're like, why are these guys hitting each other with stuff? I'm going to stand here and watch it.
Yeah.
And then we went super hard in the yard, Gerard. Man, these are all just things that kind of like morphed me into this guy.
I was say it's building, right? It's building now.
Yeah.
You have the passion now. You have what you watched. You're doing it now.
Right.
How do you get into actually being a professional wrestler?
Right? Oh man, it's embarrassing, really. I went to like this local spot. I'm not gonna throw anyone under the bus and bury them or anything, but I went to like this local spot. And at the time, oddly enough, I had picked up, if anyone's familiar with these, they were the UPW cassette tapes of wrestling training. And that's where John Cena trained, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, Kazarian was like, all these guys are in the videos, in the ring, getting trained. Like, and it's awesome. Yeah, they're actually available on YouTube. Anyone aspiring to get into wrestling, I recommend them. I do, because that's where I got started. And they're, you know, a lot of the fundamentals and stuff in them. It's pretty much all they are. It's like 3 cassette tapes or whatever. And I was watching those in my basement on my floor, just learning to bump, just figuring it out. And I had been sending bumps in the yard, but not the proper way. I was just hurting myself. And so now I'm hurting myself the proper way, I guess. But I'm doing it on like a thin layer of carpet on a concrete floor. And I don't even remember what caused me to do this, but I started putting like my school textbooks down, thinking that was going to help. Oddly enough, it did. Yeah, I guess this the cardboard of it. I don't know. It made no sense, but I was bumping on them. You know, that's about all the use I got out of the textbooks. And then, so I went from there, from watching those tapes, I guess I was probably 15, 16 then. And then I started training late into my 16-year-old year. I got trained at this place, and you can't wrestle in Kentucky until you're 18. You had to have the license. And actually now you can't even train until you get a license. At the time, it was different. Maybe it wasn't different. Maybe they told me it was different, and like we did an illegal thing. Beats me. I wouldn't put it past them. But I was paying them and training there. And I started realizing pretty much immediately, like day one, which I was training with some of my other yard friends, that like a lot of the stuff they're telling me is different from what's on these tapes. And the guys on these tapes are, you know, Samoa Joe on this tape, right? And that's John Cena on this tape and stuff. So that I was like, okay, I'm going to do it this way here because I don't want you to stiff me. But then when I wrestle elsewhere, eventually, maybe, hopefully, then I'll do it the way I think it should be done. So I was getting improperly trained, but I think that's what kept me from like really picking up the bad habits of some of the shindy stuff. Not that I don't have them, but those bad habits, right?
Other bad habits.
Yeah, other bad habits. Limited my bad habits. So yeah, that's really where it started. Then I trained until I was 18. I debuted with that company. I did 3, 4, maybe 5 shows, a handful of shows. And I show up, of course, as like one of the trainees to put the ring together for the show. And me and my boys get there, and we're like, oh, shit, the ring must be late. Hanging out for a little while. Oh, the ring must be really late. We're cutting it close, boys. We got to get this thing set up. So we start making some phone calls. The company has folded. The company's gone. The company's dead. No one told us. We've driven an hour and 20 minutes to set up this ring. And I'm like, all right. So yeah, that's kind of how that went. And then we got lucky though, because one of my friend's dad at the time, we started a little fed at the time with a 6-sided ring and everything. They invested in a 6-sided ring. That was cool because then we got to wrestle in a 6-sided ring. And we did that for probably a little under a year or so. And yeah, and that's really where I could cut my teeth and just kind of let loose. And like, it was just me and my yard friends really. Yeah. And some of the guys that we had like buddied up with from that same company that I trained with. And like some of those higher ups, I guess, were mixed in with running it and whatever. And there was too many chiefs, and that's kind of why it fizzled or whatever. But you know, it was awesome when it lasted, and yeah, very grateful for that. So yeah, how's that for a long-winded answer?
It's good.
But
that's your story.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
True.
It's your story. That's how it happened.
It is.
And that's the interesting thing we're finding out about what everybody's story is, because I feel like we haven't hit the same story yet. Everybody's got something different,
That's
some
true.
different obstacle, some different barrier that they had to get past.
For sure.
So you got through that, and how do you become the sauce? How do you become Alex Zayne?
Man, the sauce thing came later, oddly enough, because already in the yard, like I was doing that bit of indie stuff. I was still yarding. At the time, there was this whole stigma against the whole yarding thing. Oh, don't be a yarder. And it was also a whole stigma just against being me at the time, because it was like, you're doing a flip in the hot spots and you're stealing my shine, boy. I need to go work this headlock for 12 minutes and then powder out. So I was already getting heat because of like what I was doing, just in the ring, whatever. And then I was starting to kind of catch so much heat that like people weren't really trying to book me and stuff at the time. So then I was like, okay, you don't fuck with me, I don't fuck with you type of thing. I don't know if we're allowed to say F words on here.
You're
cool. I like them. So yeah, that's when I like, it was a different world. Like, so I couldn't branch out as easily as like now. I couldn't just hit up the Fed and the next state or whatever and be like, can I wrestle there or whatever? So then I just went kind of back to my roots and kept yarding. And I was on this message forum, even before then, I was on this message forum called the Backyard Wrestling League. There's a documentary about it that I am in on YouTube. Go ahead and plug that. It's called Backyard Wrestling League, or The Link, I think is what it's called, by A-List Productions. It's dope. Subscribe and all that.
Check it out.
Yeah, definitely check it out. There's a bunch of stuff. M-Dog 20's in it, or Matt Cross. Don't want to dead name him or whatever we call it nowadays. But then, yeah, I started just going back to yarding, and I think because like everyone in this yard community was really focused on like that sort of competitive nature of like your peers are your audience, and they're also, the wrestlers. So it makes you level up a lot quicker because you're not wrestling in, I mean, no offense, but like in front of fans who are going to cheer for what a fan would cheer for. You're wrestling in front of people who want a little more
Takes more
technical skill, whether that, not that I have technical skill, but in a sense I do, in a flipping sense I do. I can flip technically. So yeah, it was just a different thing. And then after that, I had to convert it back to an indie style where it's like, oh yeah, you all aren't wrestlers. You don't care about my fancy chain wrestling thing or whatever. Unless I'm like really good at it, like Daniel Makabe or Alex Shelley or something, right? Where I'm just like
technically sound.
Yeah. Like I can just tie you into a pretzel and just laugh at you and stuff. People. So yeah, I kind of I had to switch it up a little bit and kind of figure it out again. So yeah, it was back and forth, yarding indie, and then I was kind of out of it for a while. I was doing the whole music thing, and then once I came back in, probably 2016, 2017, I was under a mask for like 6 or 7 matches, and then I was like, I can't breathe, guys. I just took it off. Why did I decide to do this? And it was shortly after that is when the sauce happened, and it was because even in the backyard, I was already doing the taco driver, and I was doing all the Taco Bell stuff, and I had like a couple times I had like the Taco Bell logo shaved in the back of my head stuff, just because I really like tacos. And so I later put it together because some other companies that I was working for started to kind of give me these little monikers and stuff, right? And I was kind of like, I need one. Obviously, they're telling me, I'm listening, I hear you. I'm not really feeling what you're giving me. No hate, but what am I? I'm this taco guy. Well, I can't be taco guy, Alex Zayne. That doesn't really have as much flow to it. So that's where the sauce came from. Yeah, it was like, it just fit.
It could have been taco guy Alex Zayne, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, it could have been. Maybe it still will be one day because, if I get signed, I can't I could do a sauce maybe, but I can't do the whole Taco Bell gimmick. I got to figure something out.
You could just make tacos at home and just hand them out to people as you're walking down,
That would be great.
Here's your taco.
Yeah, and then they're all just getting food poisoning because I'm a terrible cook. I'll have my girlfriend do it. She's really good at stuff. Like
if you can get a deal from Taco Bell, they can give them to you, and then you can give them out that way.
Yes, give me the deal, brother. What's up?
We're trying to get our own deal.
Right.
With company to be named later.
We'll get there. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
A word from our would-be sponsors.
So one of the words I think I've heard about 400 times so far in our short time of being here is backyard.
Yeah.
So there was one thing that kind of happened that went viral.
Yes, it did.
And it was from GCW. And it was a 630 flip. How did that even come about? Like, how do you mentally prepare to say, okay, I'm wherever I am, on the top rope, running, jumping over a rope. How do you even mentally prepare yourself to say, okay, I'm going to try this? And for that spot in particular, how did it feel before it, during it, and then after it?
I kind of blame sleep deprivation at the time because I drove up like that whole night before and like no sleep. I don't even know how many hours before the match I was like on no sleep. I remember going like laying on the grass beside the car in a little shady spot and catching like 15 minutes, probably an hour or so before the match. I was like, because I was like, I'm not going to make it, guys. I'm fall asleep in the middle of the match. So
and that headlock, that 12-minute headlock.
yeah, that they taught me on the Kentucky indie scene, boys. There we go. So yeah, I'm driving up, and like it's just kind of like one of those bad ideas that I've always had. It just kind of runs in front of my head, like, hey, motherfucker, do this, and I'm like, who said that? Great idea. It turned out to be, thankfully. It doesn't always pan out this way. But then I got in the ring and, I'm kind of feeling it out, and I kind of just look at it, and I more so realized, when am I going to get another opportunity to have the way softer landing that is the grass compared to most indie shows that are a concrete floor? And I've taken the concrete floor several times, mainly because people don't know how to catch and stuff. But now I'm intentionally sending it, and I kind of hit the ropes, and I would run and just leap, kind of feeling it, whatever. And yeah, I think sleep deprivation played a big role in me actually convincing myself, just, do it. And actually planned like an alternate finish for that, just in case I goofed it. I was, because, me and Deppin were talking, and I was like, I don't want to do this. He's like, if you say you got it, I trust it. And I was like, okay. He's like, just don't crush me and don't hit me in the face. I said, cool.
You got it.
You got it. Mid-air, I'm going to be like, calculate. But then, of course, we kind of like figured it out placement-wise and all this. And I told him, hey, let me kind of set up the table, door, whatever, and get there that way. Because I'm going to know where to put it. And you don't want to get hit in the face or crushed. And I I should place this. So, yeah, that's really how it came about. I had the idea a couple times when I had done just like big front flips over the top and stuff like that, just in matches before then. And it was never an idea like, oh, do this. It was always kind of that, I think I could do that idea, And then, yeah, like I said, sleep deprivation, a couple of Red Bulls, man, it'll give you wings. It'll give you wings. Yeah.
See, and that's something that has never gone through my head. Being an almost 6-foot guy who's 300 pounds, that thought of just I'll just try it. Let's just try and flip. That never ever went through my head.
You need to do more 36-hour like sleep deprived days, and then a couple of Red Bulls.
There you go.
Boom, and so maybe some heat exhaustion on top of that. Like
I could do it right in my backyard off my deck.
You'll be fine.
I'll be okay. It's grass. It's grass. Semi-soft.
Grass is pretty soft.
So
go ahead. So right before, which was part of your question that I took long enough to get to, but like right before, I remember like this again, this thought of running for, don't do it, motherfucker, and then I just had to kind of ignore that guy. He's wrong this time because we're here, right? And that's really a lot of the things like that. You kind of have to trust yourself. Hey, man, you've done a 6:30 a bunch of times. It's just another day in the office, right? And so just don't psych yourself out. Don't think too much about it. And that's really where I was, which I never have a whole lot of problem not thinking.
What would have been
it's been a big issue.
What would have been the alternate to it if, as you were leading up to it, you were like, I don't know if I should do this?
Well, unfortunately, because of my lack of mental capabilities, I don't think I ever would have like bailed out. But if I fricked myself up, if I botched it, yeah, that's the word I was looking for. If I botched it, then I probably would have like just brushed the dirt off, kind of cried inside, rolled him in the ring, and done it from the top rope. It was pretty much the alternate ending to an extent. We would have had to get there. I don't think I would have botched and be like, ignore that. Boom, here it is.
Yeah.
You're still going
But-
to do it either way. Yeah.
Yeah, we were going to get there. We talked about we didn't really even discuss how to get there because I think having too much of a plan B makes you a little reliant, on it and gives you something to fall back on. I didn't want to fall back on anything. Kind of just want to hit it. I hit it. And then afterwards, like I felt real good about it. I felt especially good about it because like Ruckus was another person that I very much looked up to during my like come up in the yard and all that. And he was there on the show. And I went over and I'm doing like someone hits me with like a camera and they're doing an interview. And I'm like, I am trying to breathe in water. And I was like, okay. And I'm just like saying whatever I'm saying. And just out of kind of nowhere, just Ruckus tackles me from the side. And I'm just like, oh shit. Right. And he's like, that was the craziest thing I ever saw. I was like, hey, you're Ruckus. You've seen some shit, man. You were in CCW. So I was like, man, that's cool. And then like I've said before, like I didn't know anything happened on the internet. It wasn't even in my head. And I get on my phone for a second and I text my girl, hey, like everything went well, because she always, good luck, that sort of thing. And don't die, whatever. And so I just kind of respond real quick to her and stuff like that. And then I put my phone back down, drink the rest of my water, and head back out to see the rest of the show and kind of pay respects to the other performers that I was fortunate enough to be on the card with. So now I'm watching, and then it's like after the show, I pick up my phone. I had just text from like everyone, including her, and she was the first text I read, and she just said, what did you do? And I didn't know what that meant yet, but then I noticed like I had a lot more notifications than usual,
I did what you told me to do. I didn't die.
I didn't die, and I good luck. So yeah. So that's kind of how it felt afterwards, a bit oblivious, and then like the boys were like, we gotta hit the road or whatever, and I was like, I'm not driving first because Twitter has tweeted.
Tweeting. There's tweeting going on.
There's tweeting going on, and I must be involved. So yeah, and I like at this point, like my friends had like screenshotted like Will Ospreay and Shima and all these guys like tweeting and stuff and atting me and like retweeting the clip and stuff, and I'm just like, what has happened? What is this moment? What is this feeling?
That's awesome. And that's like one of the things we try to talk about on the podcast is even when we talk amongst ourselves is the positives and the good things that happen, that happen around wrestling and that, happen through social media, because 20, 30 years ago, if someone did that, you might read about it in a magazine 2 months later.
And then go back and watch the show,
Yeah, you'd never be able to see it as instantaneously as you can now. So that's the good thing about some of the things that happen on social media is
I love it. I love the
stuff.
I love the day and age that we're in. Like I'm very fortunate to be in it, really. So cannot complain about anything, honestly. Yeah, it's awesome. And I appreciate that too, because where I'm so just oblivious all the time, a lot of the negatives slip by me. Like, just anything in wrestling, like people are like, oh my God, so-and-so did a thing and bad stuff and negativity. And I'm just over here, right? Eating a taco or something. Whatever, man.
Upside down, eating a taco.
Just hanging out, just Spider-Man style on the taco.
Man, I've already cooked dinner for tonight, and now I really want tacos.
I understand. I do. I understand.
Oh man! So you've had some other opportunities with some more name familiar promotions, Ring of Honor, NJPW. How did they come about? And what's the story kind of behind some of those big matches that you've had with some of those other promotions?
Oh man, I don't even know how some of this stuff, like there's definitely some missing pieces to everything that I'm just kind of like, how am I here? Like I remember actually I was backstage at New Japan in LA. It was my debut, and I'm wrestling in a tag match, me and Aaron Solo versus Amazing Red and TJP. And I'm like, what? Who's making these decisions right now? Like, this is, wow. Okay. Don't mess up. That's kind of the whole thing. And then, so much had happened then too, like before then, that I was like, so many of those moments where I'm just like, wow, just crazy stuff everywhere. But with those, like with New Japan, a couple months before that, I don't know what I should say, but like Will Ospreay had kind of written me on Facebook, because Will Ospreay was another person that was heavily involved with the backyard community. So it wasn't like we were friends or anything through that, but we all just, there's always been this kind of camaraderie amongst Jardy boys. Yeah, and it's kind of like, oh, you're doing it, right? Whatever. And so I think that must be kind of what it was. And he's just such a dude anyway. He's always giving people the rub and just being the man. And so he wrote me on Facebook, and it was like, which I understand he lives in Japan, but it was like 4:00 in the morning, and I had just done a show, and I just drove to the hotel, and I texted my girl, and I was like, oh, I'm so tired, I'm going to sleep. Will Ospreay just wrote me, I guess I'm not going to sleep. What's up, dude? And I'd really never talked to him or anything. And he's like talking kind of cryptically or whatever. So I'm sure there was reasons for that. And so I won't say too much about the conversation specifically, but he was just kind of like, oh, how old are you? And what's your plans? And da-da-da-da. And I was like, here's that information that I'm not putting on the internet. And then he was like, okay. And he was like, what's up with this Japan tour? Because at the time I was in talks with Shima about going over there. And he was like, are you in talks with anyone as far as signing and yada, yada. So I answer all those questions and kind of tell him what's up and when the Japan tour is happening and whatever. And I didn't have dates yet for the Japan tour. Then Shima hit me with dates. So I messaged Ospreay, and this a couple weeks later, hey, these are the dates. Should, everything cool? And he was like, yeah, that should be fine. And I was like, he was like, do you have any other dates that are like in the way of stuff? And I was like, well, I try to book out only 2 to 3 months in advance. I don't book too far out because stuff gets messy, especially when your ADD is dog shit. So then I'm like, oh, I tell him that, and he's like, well, expect an email, and if you get that email, maybe drop everything. I said, okay, all right. So
Sure.
Perfect. Maybe.
Noted. So then I kind of wait for an email, didn't get an email, which is all good. But then Rocky Romero had followed me on Twitter. And then I noticed that GCW was in LA on the same weekend that New Japan was in LA. So I write Rocky, and we hadn't really talked or anything. And I was just like, hey, man, like, I'm coming through LA at the same time that you're going to be out there, which at the time, I think he lives in LA, and I didn't know at the time and stuff. And I was like, you all are going to be out there. I would love to, like, buy you lunch or a cup of coffee or something, pick your brain, And I had done music for years, and he's doing music and stuff. And I was like, oh, like, you love the music and love to talk about that stuff too, all sorts of stuff. And so he kind of like, oh, cool, man. Yeah, like, we'll line something up. And then we kind of like don't talk for a week or two. And he was like, hey, when are you getting in LA? And when are you leaving LA? And I tell him the dates or whatever. And he was like, oh, so you'll be here for the New Japan show. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, you want to work it? I was like, this is not a question. You should just say, hey, man, you're working this. right. So I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, that sounds cool. And at the time, I remember thinking like, oh, I'm going to, probably go in and work a dark match before the show with like a LA Dojo boy or something like that, get my feet wet and kind of have them take a look at me. That's what I'm expecting because not that I mentioned this before because, again, scatterbrained, but we had talked about me coming out and doing an LA Dojo tryout match before all of this. and I couldn't do it because that was the same day as Joey Janela's farewell show, which was on a Monday. And he was like, "Hey, could you do?" I think it was September 30th or something like that. And I was like, "Actually, I can't. I'm booked on a Monday," which is weird to say. And he was like, "Oh, okay, right." And he was like, "I was like, I'm sure, like, I can maybe get out of it or something." He was like, "No, keep your bookings. It's very important." I was like, "Yeah, I agree." So that just didn't pan out. And at the time, I'm kind of like, man, because opportunities, a lot of times they don't come around twice and stuff. And you're just kind of like, man, did I just shoot myself in the foot? Who knows? And so I kind of keep in touch and, of course, remain respectful and not overbearing and all that. Word to the wise of you young guys in the wrestling community. Social etiquette goes a long way. But so then, yeah, he offers me like to work the show, and like I said, I thought I was going to work like a LA Dojo boy, and then he was like, "Okay, we'll announce your match like sometime soon. Don't say anything until we do." And I was like, "Okay, that's not hard to do at all.
Yeah.
just I'll just keep this under wraps, easy, right?" No, not very easy at all. So I kind of just at times almost had to stay off Twitter, just not to be like, "I'm working New Japan." Man. So, and then they announced the match, and I didn't know the match until they announced it. So I see the graphic. Oh my word, right? And I go and I wipe my ass because I had shit myself, and not literally, figuratively speaking. And then, I gear up, and then we wrestle GCW. If I remember correctly, yeah, I wrestled the GCW show on the Friday night, maybe, and then I think the New Japan show was on Sunday, and we did a scramble, and I'm pretty sure I had like a mild concussion, which is never good because I've had enough of that. Yeah, and so, but I took like a Spanish fly, and it was supposed to be a Spanish fly onto the apron, from the apron onto the apron, from Jordan Oliver. Shout out to him, he's a total brother. And then I'm like running in for it, no problem. Just doing a little front flip to the apron, no problem. Miss it completely. Just miss it completely. Go to the floor. The floor was not the problem. The problem was that the underbar on the ring apron caught the back of my head. And I've never heard a more like resonating sound go through my head. It was the weirdest thing. Just like, it was like there was a gong inside my head. And it was just, and like my hearing was gone because it was just, right? And I'm just like, right? And I remember seeing Blake Christian jumps off the apron, because that's where he was, or whatever. He jumps off the apron, just gets down there like, "Oh shit, like, are you all right?" Whatever, because they knew I was supposed to land on the apron. And it was funny because all sorts of Twitter members were like, "Why would you take that to the floor?" I didn't intentionally do that. Not that I'm going to tell you that, totally on purpose.
Yeah, meant to.
Totally just savage, man. So yeah, like he jumps down and he's like, I can see him saying something, but I can't hear anything, right? I'm like deaf for a second. And then it slowly starts to come back to, or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, man, I'm fine. Totally fine. We're good. Can't even hear myself talk. Am I talking? And then Jordan Oliver's still kind of like, you good, whatever. And I feel him like squeezing me, and I'm squeezing him, and like, hey, we're good. Just give me a second, right? And I start to get up, and because now it's like this dive spot's going to happen with everyone's doing their individual dives. And I'm getting up, and as I'm getting up for the next dive, I'm so just like loopy. I'm kind of bent over, and I'm getting up, and Jordan Oliver's like, no, stay down. Like, I got this. And he gives me just the slightest, like, no, stay down, just little sidearm. It sent me, right? Because I had no equilibrium about me at all. And I just, right? And I remember as I'm falling, and I actually want to watch the footage to see how this looks. Yeah. Like, he gives me kind of just like, no, you're fine, or whatever. Stay down, like, rest up. You just hurt yourself. And I like start to fall. Not even thinking that I'm falling because I'm just so out of it. I just like reach up like I'm still gonna catch the guy diving.
He's the invisible.
Like,
oh man, the invisible man.
He's not even in the air yet. He's still doing whatever. I don't know. And then I start to stand up after that because there's another dive happening, and Blake kind of has me, and he's like, "You're good. You're good." I was like, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. But I'm just gonna stay like this." And at the time, I'm just like bent over, and it wasn't because like I wanted to be. I was just kind of stuck. And I was like, I'm fine. I'm just going to stay right here. And I was like, this will catch them. This will do it. And they just like clobber me, like landed on me. And I was like, yeah, hey, they got caught. That was good. And right about that time, I started to regain my bearings, which was good because my dive was next. And they're like, you're fine. Just stay down. Don't. I was like, no, got it. Rolled in the ring. And I was like, woo. Now I'm standing upright, which was the first time since it all happened. I'm like, whoa, spinny boy, okay. And I had a spinny boy to do, and I was like, that's going to be something else. So I just, muscle memory, right? So, and then I wrestled New Japan, and not the next day. I had a day off and then wrestled New Japan. And I just remember being like, man, my head is still kind of in pain. It was funny. It was a good time.
That doesn't sound fun at all.
It wasn't fun, but it was funny after the fact, maybe. Now it's funny.
Oh, man.
Good times.
So what are some of the goals? What are you looking to do in the future? I mean, we're still in the middle of COVID. Do you have anything lined up that you can even tell us about? Like, is there anything going on in the wrestling world? Chris tweets out all the time, am I ever going to be able to be in the audience for a wrestling show ever again?
Just want to be up front.
I understand. I do. I want to be at a wrestling show that has an audience. That sounds awesome. I know some stuff got kind of pushed around and stuff like that was planned before, and I can't talk about a lot of that. And there was a lot of stuff just, man, there was some stuff, guys. There was
one match that wasn't
at least one.
Yeah. It was close to me down in Florida, and it was going to happen the beginning of April, and I might have been there,
Yeah. Which they even released like the graphic for that match. So like, the cat's out of the bag with that. It was supposed to be me, Will Ospreay, and Blake Christen at Joey Janela's Spring Break, and that would have been huge. Yeah, it would have been huge. It would have been huge for me. It would have been huge for Blake. It would have been not so big for Will Ospreay. It would have been the biggest match of his career.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, like there was some other stuff that I can't really touch on. I know I had like an Australian tour, and that was already announced, so that got pushed back, and it got pushed back to November. But now I've heard recently on Twitter that like they might not allow international travel in this year. Yeah. So maybe that's next year. I don't know. Is it America not allowing international travel, or is it Australia?
I think it's Australia.
I think
Australia's shut down. Basically, they're not going to let anybody in or out.
Right. Yeah. They must have got pretty hit. Or
it's just their way. It's just their way of solving it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. I understand. Mm-hmm. We're in that. We are in that time. We are all doing what we got to do, and whatever that is. For me, it's binge eating tacos and doing a bunch of stupid TikToks because I am bored. Yeah.
Well, let's rewind a little bit. I want to touch on something because before this all happened, you did get to travel to Japan. You did get to have some matches overseas, and how did that come about? And what was it like wrestling in Japan, wrestling in one of the biggest, wrestling meccas in the world?
Oh man, surreal, truly. At the time, like when it was all before it all happened, 6:30. We touched on this. 6:30.
Yeah.
Shima did a tweet. His tweet literally just said, "Come to Shanghai," because OWE was in Shanghai, and my tweet said something like, "Okay." Cool. And then I remember like I sent him his own tweet just so he knew who I was, because like I was still like I had only just done a flip. So I sent him his own tweet and I said, if this is a legitimate like something, like yes, let's start doing this. Let's plan this out. And then some stuff happened. I think it was with the Hong Kong riots and stuff at the time, kind of foiled the Shanghai plans. So he kind of moved over to doing a whole Japan tour, which actually worked out really well for me. So then he was going to bring me over to Japan for it, and yada, yada, yada. Now we're working on dates and stuff. So shout out to Shima, shout out to OWE. That's the sensei right there. And so, man, there was a lot of course, just back and forth and figuring it out. And, and then, like I said, it changed from Shanghai to Japan and whatever. And some of the dates got whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And so I went over there. I did about 6 weeks, give or take. And I did a whole week after my tour. I flew my girl over, and we just kind of hung out in Japan for, I think it was like 8 or 9 days or something. And she got over there just in time to see my last match in Japan, which was great. So that's kind of how that came about. Shima just wholly brothered me all the way through that. And it was cool too, because now we switched to Japan, and we have another backyard brethren of mine, being Ricky Shane Page was over there doing his BJW tour, and I did a couple BJW shows. So we got to do shows together. Not that we were in the same match or anything, but it's just like
same place. Yeah.
We were posting on a backyard wrestling forum some clip of my friend hitting me with a chair like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever. It's been 36 years ago or something. And here we are in Japan, not together, but together, right? It was.
But that crazy journey, somehow you ended up in the same place.
Yeah.
Completely on the other side of the world.
And right before I went to Japan was when the New Japan debut happened in LA. So now I'm acquainted, and of course I'm with some of those guys over there, and just dinners and stuff like that. Some people know, some people don't know. Me and Lance Archer, we're pretty brothered up. So we got to do a bunch of stuff. He got to show me a lot of the ways of Japan. A lot of course, like Japanese natives and the Shima and the Lindemann and Yoshiaka and stuff. They all showed me and helped me through the whole process. And then, of course, I had like Drew Parker and Ricky Shane Page and Lance Archer and stuff helping me out over there. And one of the biggest helps, and I don't think I've given him the rub on any podcast yet. I was over there, and I'm probably 3.5 weeks in, right? And I'm staying in a dojo, and in walks a new roommate into the dojo I'm staying in. And I'm like, at the time, I'm just kind of like, I think I might have been just like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just out of it for whatever reason. I spend most of my time out of it seems like, by this podcast, but
Taco Coma.
Right. And so in walks in Storm Grayson and the Green Kid himself from Chicago, and he's coming over there to do some training. Like he's doing a training like month or whatever, boot camp for Wrestle One. And like we're oh my God, they were roommates. Sorry, I've been on TikTok or whatever too long. So yeah, he comes in. I'm like, hey, I know you, and you know me. And then I beat the shit out of him multiple times in Mario Party because he brought his Switch with him. Big mistake, Bucko. Big mistake. So yeah, like we had each other to kind of like bounce off of, just fumble through Tokyo with. Just like, where am I going? I don't know. But luckily, I could be like, hey, you don't know either. Good. Glad we're here. So yeah, shout out to him, because I got really sick in Japan. Like I've said it a couple times. It might have been COVID. I got flu-like symptoms 2 different times, and weeks apart. So I don't really know how the flu works, but I'm pretty sure it's not that way. So it might have been. It was November.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
It's possible.
It's possible. It's possible. But I was like dying. Like I was, like there was times like, thankful to Storm. Like I was just in bed for so long that he was like, hey man, I brought you some food because you haven't eaten ever. Like here. And I'm like, still laying there, just like back to sleep. Just I'm going. And he gave me medicine and stuff. He kept me warm and comfortable. He is such a sweet.
What a beautiful story.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was beautiful, beautiful kindling of a lifelong friendship. I'm pretty sure he hates me because I beat him so many times in Mario Party. But shout out to him.
When you did get to wander, when you weren't sick, you did get to wander around Japan.
Yes.
And you did stumble upon one of your favorite places in Japan, Taco Bell, Japan.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that, because it's documented. You have a nice YouTube video. If you need to go see it, go watch Alex's YouTube video of him visiting Taco Bell in Japan. But give us some insight about what Taco Bell is in Japan and how it's better than the United States.
It is better than the United States in ways. In ways, it's inferior. I don't know. That's probably a strong word, right? But like their menu is smaller, much more condensed. I think it's probably got between 5 and 10 items on the menu, aside from drinks or whatever. So they did have I can't even remember what it was called. They had this one like milky consistency, frozen slushy type of drink. I don't even remember what it's called. I probably covered it in the review. Again, I'm out of it. But it was good. It was good. I know I covered it on my story. Yeah, go watch the review. It was great. And they had this other thing. It was a Japanese word. So that, again, beats me. But it was something that was pretty common over there. And they kind of made it into a burrito and stuff. And it was good. It was just all good. But the meat quality was really, really good over there, because they have a lot less. I think it's a lot less processed foods and stuff in Japan. So the meat quality was really good. And then I ended up going to another Taco Bell in Japan. I want to say it was in Kobe. And when I went to that one, I was with some of the OWE guys, and we go there, and they're like, "Oh, I've never had Taco Bell," and I was like, "You say what?" Right? Makes sense, because there's like 4 of them in all Japan, right? So we go there, and it was great seeing. It's always great seeing a grown man eat a taco for the first time, because they can't figure out the method.
It's like us trying to use chopsticks or something.
Right. How do I bite this? Right? How do I tackle this thing? But what was cool about those tacos was they had little star cut. The cheese was cut into stars. I don't know why. Didn't ask.
Huh.
I was with it though. Thanks for the star cheese. Made me feel kind of
special cheese.
Yeah, special cheese made me feel special. I know that. But yeah, the Taco Bell. Just check out the YouTube channel, Alex Zayne. There's Taco Bell review of Japan on there. It's worth it.
Choco-dia.
Yeah, man. Right?
Why not? Why don't I have a Choco-dia?
It seems such like an American thing, but it's not. Just hey, how can we take a quesadilla and make it less healthy? That sounds America as can be, right? Yeah. And we don't have it. Yeah, I guess it was like Nutella or something, just spread on a slightly toasted tortilla. Man, like wow.
It's just so simple. It blew my mind when you did the review, and then I started searching drastically on the internet to figure out if it was ever in the United States. Will it ever be in the United States? There was rumors that maybe
if I have anything to do with it, it will. They're gonna mess up and give me like that sponsorship. They're gonna give me that deal, and I'm like, here's the changes I need. I got a list, brother. 1, bring back the XXL grilled stuffed burrito. Bring back the double decker. What are you doing to me?
Bring back the bacon cheeseburger burrito.
Bring back the bacon cheeseburger burrito. I don't even think I ever had one of those.
That was like, I mean, we're talking like this was.
Here we go.
94, 95 area.
Oh, we're talking Chihuahua days.
Yeah, we're talking old, but man, that whatever that sauce was on that thing, it was phenomenal, and they need to bring it back.
They always do that, don't they? They roll out some sauce that you just fall in love with, and then they roll it back out, and you're like, what do I do now?
I got so excited like a couple of years ago. It was like Taco Bell's going to have bacon again. I was like, oh, man, they're bringing back the bacon cheeseburger burrito. And then you didn't, Taco Bell.
They didn't.
Didn't.
How dare them?
Exactly. So what's one of your what's your go-to meal at Taco Bell?
It's always, not always, always a strong word. A lot of times I hit that value menu up, right? I just gotta spend $6 on the value menu and don't get full. You can't do it. You will be in physical pain.
Yeah.
$6 on the dollar menu. So I'm always with that. But I really like the $5 box because then they I don't even look at what's in it sometimes. I'm just like, give me that $5 box, and they're like, all right, do you want that crunchy? Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, I do. And then it's just like this beautiful surprise. You open the box. What did you give me today, Taco Bell Fairy? Right? Boom, awesome, right? Because it's always awesome. Like it's Taco Bell, but you can't go wrong. So
Agree.
yeah. And they switch it up for me because I'm there so often. I might as well give you all some sort of control over this.
Yeah.
Problem.
They do change up their $5 box every so often.
Yeah.
That's an interesting concept that I don't know if they've ever done that make it the $5 mystery box. Don't actually tell
that would be
anybody
awesome.
what you're going to give them, but just make it a $5 box. I mean, how can you complain about $5 worth of food?
Right. You can't really. You can't.
Mm-mm.
And then and it's always so much food for $5 too. That's great. Yeah.
That's your list of changes.
Right. Yeah.
Mystery box.
I'm putting that on there. There we go. And that's just I've been through too, and I'm like, oh, give me the $5 box, and then they say something crazy like, which one?
Wait, you have more than one right now?
Wait, what? Yeah. Sometimes I got like 2 and 3 of them. I'm like, whoa, guys, calm down. Yeah. So then I just say that one. You pick. You surprise me.
So we got through a lot of wrestling stuff. What are you doing when you're not wrestling? What's your hobbies outside of wrestling? What's your passion if it's not yarding or going to Taco Bell?
I mean, I think gym comes with the territory. There's always that. It's the fitness thing is always kind of on the agenda, right? A lot of times I'm slacking, even when it comes to that. Then I got a trampoline to get me through quarantine, so that's become a pretty heavy component.
How big of a trampoline? How big?
I went 14 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, 14. And I was looking for the biggest I could get, but I was also looking for used on Facebook Marketplace.
Sure.
Because I'm not going to spend full price on a trampoline and then break it in myself. What I look like? A crazy person? I only have quarantine. It takes me weeks to break in a trampoline as it is. So yeah, I wanted it, and wanted it to come just ready for me, and it did. And then I got on Facebook Marketplace when I had the idea one day. I was like, I should get a trampoline. I got on Facebook Marketplace, and then midnight, I'm driving an hour to get this trampoline, and then by 1 a.m. it's set up in the backyard. My neighbors are like, "What is this guy's problem?" You have a problem, Chuck. Know me.
Why's it got to be Chuck?
Well, it's his name. It's not my neighbor's name. I don't know. His first name. First name that came to my head is your fault.
I know.
Being Chuck.
I know.
He's not the captain of the Chucks. That's all that matters.
There we go.
To be honest, I don't even know how that nickname. I mean, everybody's always called me Chuck, but I don't know how captain got in front of it. How did I become the captain of the Chucks? I don't really understand.
That's a different podcast.
I know.
It's a totally different podcast.
We'll get there. We'll talk about that when we talk about the cookie brand, won't we?
Oh, it's
getting
coming
there.
up.
We're getting
coming
there.
up.
Ayo.
We're getting close.
So we always do some favorites. So we run through them really quickly.
Yeah.
So we already talked about your favorite at Taco Bell.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite city to wrestle in?
Ooh, favorite city to wrestle in. I don't know if it's exactly my favorite, but I really liked Portland. I've only done it once, so I really enjoyed Portland. They were the rowdy boys out there. Y'all
Nice.
excitable. You all are excitable. I enjoyed that. I always liked wrestling in Seattle too. They just came to have a good time. And I mean, they do most places, right? But, and no hate to Jersey. I wrestle in Jersey pretty often. GCW is kind of like home bases in the Jersey area. They've seen so much that they're just kind of like, Alex, you You landed on you did a quadruple front flip landing on your head on the ground. You silly guy. That's the pop. That's the pop sometimes, you know. But I love you guys. You know, you keep me humble. But but yeah, Portland, they're just like, whoa, this guy did a thing. I loved it, man.
Nice. Favorite opponent that you've wrestled thus far in your career?
This was supposed to be quick, wasn't it? You covered this.
It could be. Well, I say the question's quick, and you can take as long as you need to answer.
Okay, you said it so fast. Good job on the delivery. Blake Christen. Yeah.
Nice. Taking out all brands and promotions and everything.
No limitations.
No limitations. Who is the person that you want to have your dream match with?
Oh. Man, that is a list.
You can give us options.
All right, here's the options then. Jeff Hardy. Someone's getting hurt. John Cena. People don't expect that one from me.
No,
I think.
no.
I did not. No.
That's not it. It's this one, you know. But that's another one of his. Whatever.
That's
yeah. That's a loyalty, respect right there. But yeah, you know, it would have. You know, Hayabusa, of course, would have made that list. But R.I.P. to the great Hayabusa. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. That's kind of
that's a good three.
That's a good three.
Strong three.
Yes.
I gave you choices though. You got to choose. Which one do you want me to wrestle out of that?
Oh man, now I got to answer the question.
Yeah. You said choices.
Get to work.
Dang. I would have to say, I would have to say Hardy.
Nice. Okay.
I would want to see that high flyer against high flyer.
Of course, it'd have to be in some stipulative match. Like it couldn't be. I don't even know if that's a word. Did I make something up?
Stipulative. That works for me.
That sounds like a word. Take that dictionary.
Exactly.
You don't know me. Maybe it would have to have some sort of ladder and chair and tables and stuff in it. Like you can't just. I'm not going to go in the ring with Jeff Hardy with no hey, let's do it.
Let's just do it.
Headlock. Yeah, headlock.
Let's do the 12-minute
My
headlock
headlock
match,
sucks,
Matt.
brother.
Yep.
My headlock is terrible.
Okay, last one of the favorites. Who would be your dream tag partner?
Dream tag partner. Blake Christen. We already are tag partners. He's the dream, brother. Yeah,
There
I think
you go.
he's the yin to my yang.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we are finally here.
Here we are.
We are finally at
Talking about cookies.
the cookie question.
Yes.
It's important.
This is where we're at. So, final question here. Single stuff or double stuff Oreos? Which side are you on?
I'm on the single stuff, and the reason is the ratio.
That is the one thing that we have heard numerous times. Is it's the ratio of cream to cookie.
Right.
The reasoning is sound. It's just wrong. It's the double stuff.
I think too. I don't know that this is fact, but in my head, it sounds like the healthier option. So if I'm going to eat a sleeve of Oreos, which I am, if I'm eating Oreos, I'm eating a sleeve. Then I want what's the better option here, health-wise? Which one's going to put me, of course, in an earlier grave, but a less earlier grave.
You
right?
got the really thin ones. They came out with the thin.
Those are good though.
Oh,
yeah, those
no.
Are good. You don't like them?
No.
They got
Christopher's like, that's not even a cookie.
It's not even an Oreo.
You cannot call that an Oreo.
I accept that it's not really an Oreo.
It's a creamy cracker.
But it's good for what it is. I just like the crisp of it. And it just breaks.
I'm just so disappointed in all the single stuff people.
Oh man.
So disappointed.
It's okay.
You're allowed your opinion.
Yeah.
Love you good. You're a good guy, great wressler.
Just that shit tasting cookies. Man, I'm going to hell.
No tasted cookies, man.
I'm going to bald monkey hell. Oh,
There we
man.
go. That's another T-shirt right there. Bald
Bald
monkey hell.
Yeah, I love it. I'd wear that.
We can get that.
Hell yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah,
So,
Alex. Yeah, I was going to say, Alex, I mean,
Yeah. It's
Great
your
talk.
turn.
it's your turn. Here it is. What do you got to pitch? What do you got to put out there? Where can people find you? Where can people support you? You know, what do you got going on that you want people to go check out?
You can find me anywhere. Alex Zayne. It's kind of easy to spell. ALEXZAYNE. Of course, there's a space in there. That's two names. No hyphens. Yeah. Thanks for plugging that. AlexZayne.com. It has everything that you might want to find, from Facebook to Instagram. I don't have my TikTok on there yet, but I should have my TikTok on there because I've been doing a lot of TikToks, and I did TikTok. So
I saw something with
followers
like
on TikTok.
Jumping in the air and jumping into shorts, and then something with a sweatshirt. What the heck?
You
man?
can watch me put my pants on TikTok. Take that. So yeah, I've been doing a bunch of stuff. My store is available at my site, alexzayne.com. You can find the store on there if you want to do something like that.
He's got some awesome shirts that are Taco Bell based.
Yeah,
that are taco based.
A lot of the taco based, which the crispy brother. Yeah, so just Alex Zayne everywhere. Just find me everywhere. Just say hello. Be nice to me because I am sensitive. Or something.
I could tell. Yeah, I could tell.
I'm a real thin-skinned individual. Yeah, go Google Alex Zayne and give me a 5-star review on Yelp. That's not an option. Make it an option.
We can make it an option.
Yeah, we'll have all the socials up in the credits of the episode today. So again, make
Yelp.
sure. And yes, including Yelp. Well, I'm going to find that.
As a Taco Bell guy, I should have a Yelp review. I feel
right. So make sure you guys go like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. Go check out any of his old matches that are out on the interweb somewhere. Make sure you watch that 6:30 Heard Round the World. Okay, make sure that's your homework.
Yes.
Monkey Nation, that is your
That's
homework.
where you start. You start there.
Yes.
And
Just
then you go down
up
the rabbit hole of all the other great matches that are out there as well.
Yes.
Do that. Do it.
So we appreciate your time today, Alex. As always, guys, go subscribe, go check out all our other podcasts and interviews out there. We got a lot working right now. We got a lot of things coming up. Some new stuff with some new partnerships that we're looking forward to announce. But for right now,
Not Oreo yet. Not Oreo yet.
We'll get there. We'll get there. They're coming for you, boys. Yeah, get those Oreos. You all just want free Oreos. I know what this is about. You think I don't know why I do the Taco Bell stuff? I get it.
I wouldn't.
My
wouldn't
kid would
push
love
away
free
an Oreo.
Oreos. I mean,
Right,
she
absolutely.
would definitely not turn those down.
Smart kid. And she single stuffs or double stuff.
She is a double stuff. Actually, I mean, if it was her choice, she would have the mega stuff.
Oh wow, yeah. Yeah, she's with it.
That's just crazy.
Kids these
that's just
days.
crazy.
I tell you what. You got to get her under control. She's wild.
I do, and
Absolutely.
she's gonna watch this. And you heard it. You heard it from Alex. You better get in check.
Double stuff is the limit. Okay. There's a limit. Oh man. But much love. Yeah. Thank you all so much for having me. You are cool guys, cool dudes.
We appreciate it, Alex.
Thank you for coming on, Alex. We
No problem.
appreciate it.
Thank you
Thanks
guys.
everybody for watching. Thanks everybody for listening.
Stay bald and monkeyish.